We're talking about a book that was written by man with his own bias.
Who created chromosomes?
Yeah, I'm personally not religious, and I believe in science.
When we talk about chromosomes, it goes back to the conversation we were talking about earlier about being intersex.
But we're not talking about intersex. We're talking about people who were born as a male and they try to transition. The whole fact that they're trying to transition into a female in the first place shows that they aren't actually that, or else there would be no need to transition, right? So you say, okay, I feel like a woman. What is that? What does that feel like?
Yeah, how does it?
And how do you know?
I'm not saying I feel like a woman. I am a woman.
So then why did you transition? Why can't you just present as a man but be a woman?
What the hell did you just say?
I'm not saying I feel like a woman. I am a woman.
Surely you can't be serious.
Welcome back. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Now we're taking a quick break from our regularly scheduled programming of woke TikTok insanity to do a reaction to a recent episode of Jubilee's Middle Ground. Now Jubilee is a very large YouTube channel, over 7.5 million subscribers, where they have these discussion/debate style panels. They get two groups of people together, and like I said, they'll discuss and debate their opposing ideas. This one is trans women versus conservative women. Now, I'm very happy to announce our great friend Tiffalicious, who is a member of this community and has sponsored several of these videos in the past, is a member of the Conservative Women's Panel. She actually let us know a while back that she had auditioned and got the part to be on this panel. And more recently, she let us know that the episode had dropped. So, of course, I went and checked it out, and it is fascinating. I was fascinated when I watched this, so I figured I would bring it to you guys, let you guys check it out and see what you think. So what I'm going to do is I'll place a link in the description box below of the full episode if you want to watch it without me running my mouth or playing any clips in between or anything like that. And I'm just going to go through and play some of the clips that I found fascinating or that I found, you know, kind of important to this discussion and debate. Really quickly, I will say, as great as I think this is, that these two groups can sit down and have a civil discourse and civil discussion, I feel like this isn't something that really needs to be had, because, this is my opinion only, that one side of this discussion, one side of this debate is not based in reality. It's not based in facts. It's not based in truth. It's not based in science. So listen, I'm all for people living the way they want. If you want to live in the land of make-believe, by all means, please do. Don't try to force anybody else to live in that land with you. So you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So like I said, we're just going to play some clips here. Let's roll the intro.
Okay, so if I were a white person and I said I want to transition into a black person, and I'm redefining what blackness is to fit what I view it as, right? Would you consider that appropriation?
I consider that dodging, and I consider that comparing apples to oranges, because race and gender identity are two separate different things.
Step forward if you agree. The transgender movement is indoctrinating our youth.
We are seeing, especially on social media, on TikTok, you're seeing a lot of people in this community really just targeting children. And you're seeing drag shows, even in conservative states like Texas, and even just media, movies. Like, it seems like everything seems to be targeted at these kids. You have drag story hour for kids, and it's just really, I think, predatory in a way. And I'm not saying every trans person is doing this, but as a whole, there does seem to be a route that they're taking to get to the kids.
When you hear Blue's Clues playing in the next room, and then you hear the gay parade song, it's Blue's Clues, you're not expecting to be talking to the children about that. Yeah. It really makes you wonder, are they really coming for the children?
Wait a minute. That's the smartest thing I've ever heard anyone say about anything.
Bravo, ladies. Now, in just 1 second, we're going to hear the rebuttal as to why the other side of this discussion doesn't think the trans movement is indoctrinating our youth. I don't know how anyone can deny that's happening. We document it here on this channel every video. Also, when Tiff just said, it makes you wonder if they really are coming for our children. Remember, guys, these people always tell you what their plans are, what their next moves are. So when they tell us what they're doing, we have to listen to them.
We'll convert
future children, yes, we will.
Yeah. They tell us their plans. Anyway, all right, let's hear the rebuttal to the indoctrination. Roll it.
All right. Can the disagreeer step forward?
The fact that the trans movement has got people shook has me so excited. The trans movement is not indoctrinating our youth. Our youth are understanding who they are at a younger age. And from what I was hearing over here is a lot of what y'all were saying, I wonder would you say it to the parents? Because we need to really look at what the parents of trans youth really go through. Trans youth, instead of them enjoying their life, playing with their friends, they're up in legislation trying to fight for basic rights here. 1 in 5 transgender youth have tried to commit. Why are we trying to police them?
But you're bringing it only to the parents. The question was indoctrination in general. Am I correct? And then,
But they are part of that conversation. Someone said something about drag shows coming to schools or whatnot. The kids enjoyed it. The parents just had a problem with it. But that's their issue. It's only someone dressed in drag reading a story.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
There you have it. Somebody's trying to make excuses for drag queen story hour. Kids can't make these decisions. Kids go to a circus and they see the clowns and they like the clowns, right? Well, drag queens show up at school and they're dressed like what? Clowns. So, potato. Anyway, so one of the trans people in this debate says something intelligent here. Now, this person, I think, is kind of similar to intersex, was born with some abnormalities, but also he says he's fathered 2 children, and you could tell by looking at him that he's obviously... Anyway, keep it going.
Is
That could
drag
have been
not
anybody.
blackface for women? I see it as a caricature of womanhood.
But inherently
It's
sexual as
insulting.
well.
I have to agree with you guys. I do not like the drag queen social hours. I personally, as a trans person, didn't ever go to a drag show until I was about 40. I'm not for the sexualization of kids. Why are we not letting kids be kids and bringing sex into their life so early?
Yeah, we'll give credit where credit's due. Every adult should be calling out this stuff and saying, leave the children out of this. Anybody that's making excuses for it is okay with it, their motives should be questioned. Drag shows have always been adult shows. I don't know how, when, why, what, where, or whoever thought it would be a good idea to push this stuff on children, but let's move on to the next issue. Bathrooms, sharing bathrooms. So... a man in a woman's space. Let's hear this. Roll it.
What I think the bathroom issue opens up is an issue of predatory men taking advantage of the opening. That now they could walk into a women's bathroom or a women's locker room, as we've seen happen in instances like here in Los Angeles at We Spa. And they go into a women's space, they expose themselves to the women, and then they say, well, I'm a trans woman and you've opened up this space for me.
But we cannot blame trans people for that. And
Nobody's blaming you.
That's the problem right here. Because again, when you walk into the bathroom, I'm not interested in knowing what you are, what you identify as. I'm trying to use the bathroom and leave out of there. What people have tried to say is that when trans women go into the bathrooms, they're being predatory, and that is not the case. That is something we do not blame on trans women. Although you were not saying that, when we talk about predatory behavior and when we talk about like the predatory cases, none of them have been trans women.
Meanwhile,
Hey guys, I'm in the women's restroom.
Creep. Now, this is one of the times in the episode, and there are a couple where I wish the conservative women had pushed back a lot harder and said, no, what you're saying is false. There are dozens of examples of predatory behavior from people in your community. I mean, we just saw one that was predatory behavior, and on this channel where we've seen thousands of TikToks, we've seen dozens like that, people doing that same thing where they say, look, I'm a man in a woman's restroom. And then they film it and they put it out on the TikToks for the world to see. Because if they thought they were a woman in a woman's restroom, they wouldn't need to film it like that and put it out there for everybody to see. So that's predatory behavior. Anyway, This next clip is from what I played in the beginning. It goes on a little further, and it's very interesting because they always, when you bring up chromosomes, the trans community always says, well, intersex. Well, the intersex community is such a small portion of the population, small part of the population, and I don't know if the overweight person in the back with the blouse on is intersex or just has some abnormalities or what's going on there, but it gets shut down real quick. Roll it.
We're talking about a book that was written by man with his own bias.
Who created chromosomes?
Yeah, I'm personally not religious and I believe in science.
When we talk about chromosomes, it goes back to the conversation we were talking about earlier about being intersex.
But we're not talking about intersex. We're talking about people who were born as a male and they tried to transition. The whole fact that they're trying to transition into a female in the first place shows that they aren't actually that, or else there would be no need to transition, right? So you say, okay, I feel like a woman. What is that? What does that feel like?
Yeah, how does it
And how do you know?
I'm not saying I feel like a woman. I am a woman.
That ain't no woman.
So then why did you transition? Why can't you just present as a man but be a woman?
I transitioned so I could be who I was. I did not feel like I was the person that I identified with when I was born. So I took the steps to align my outside body with how I feel on the inside. What makes you stand up every day and make you identify as a woman? Let me challenge you on that.
I am a woman, and I don't like being called a cis woman because I'm not a cis woman. I'm a woman. I'm not a birthing person. I'm a mother.
So get mad at the terminology, not at trans people.
It's your new terminology.
But this is what I notice a lot of cis women do. The terminology has been around for so long. Cis is a prefix. Cis means same. Instead of getting mad at trans and non-binary people for using updated terminology, get mad at Webster. You're not going along with the times and being educated on the different pronouns and the different identities.
You have to admit, some of the pronouns are kind of ridiculous. I mean, to be, with all due respect, I mean, I'm sure you have to agree some of the pronouns that
I don't
people
think
use.
they're ridiculous. I think they're very expansive. Trans and non-binary people just want you to respect their chosen pronoun. We are not trying to force pronouns on you. Just understand that the terminology is going to continue to grow. If you're willing to educate yourself and understand, then you've got it.
A few moments later.
Oh, I'm aware that because I'm non-binary, I'm confusing to you. But you're going to have to respect me. You think that getting it comes before respecting me, but it's the other way around. You need to see my humanity. You must respect me and talk to me like a human being. And then maybe later you'll get it. But that's the least important part.
Like I said before, I don't know if this person's just being disingenuous or what, but to say that these pronouns and these identities aren't being forced upon society, it's a false statement. I mean, we just saw an example of that. One of many examples we've seen here is Jeffrey Marsh telling us all, we will respect him. We will use his preferred pronouns. We will respect his gender identity. Like, we don't have a choice. Sorry, Jeffrey, we have a choice. Anyway, so, I mean, of course it's being forced upon society. Some ways subtle, some ways not so subtle, but to say otherwise is nonsense. Anyway, let's keep it moving. This next clip is the most fascinating clip of this whole episode. What I'm about to say next, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to make a joke. I'm just telling the truth. And we all know in today's world, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. What you're about to see is 3 grown men telling 3 grown women what it's like to be a woman, what it means to be a woman. This, folks, is where we've hit peak fucking insanity. Roll the film, please.
I feel like the ability to give birth is not like the end all be all of a woman's like meaning and life and herself and her personality. And I think that if you can acknowledge that, I would also then maybe challenge the idea that womanhood, as opposed to like a female sex, like womanhood is a consistent thing that has always been one way.
So how would you define womanhood?
You sound like Matt Walsh.
It's a good question.
Womanhood, to me, is about standing in integrity. It is about being confident in who you are. And me, as a Black trans woman, should not be a threat to you. And what I see from a lot of cisgender women is they're trying to deem what womanhood is supposed to look like. I have my own perspective of womanhood. We can coexist in the same world, but the reality is we get so stuck on parts. Having a vagina is not the only thing that makes you a woman. I'm sorry. It takes integrity, it takes courage, it takes lifting other women up. It takes those things to begin to defy womanhood, and there's so many other different things.
That is without a doubt the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You are a idiot.
Wow. So what that person just said had nothing to do with being a woman. I mean, integrity, lifting other women. Okay, all right, those are character traits. Like, that has nothing to do with what it means to be a woman. I could have those same character traits. I'm not a woman. And whatever. Like I said, I don't know how we get to a point in society where we're having this discussion. This discussion should not even need to be had. I think it's great that these two groups can sit down and have this civil discourse, but how? Why? Like, I don't. Anyway, a couple more clips. We're going to be wrapping it up. It's been a little while since I dropped a video. Now, the reason for that is, guys, is last weekend I got buried in a nor'easter, about 1.5 feet of snow, and lost power for 3 days. Now, we survived. It made it through. The second reason is, and I know I've said this ad nauseum, but I don't know if you guys noticed, we went from, 20, 30, 50, 60,000 views to 2,000 or 3,000 views. And I'll be honest with you, it's very disheartening and it's very frustrating. And it's taking the wind out of my sails. Put all this time and effort into making these videos and trying to grow this community and grow this channel, for it to just be have the rug pulled right out from under me. It sucks. It really sucks. And some days it's hard to want to get up and do this still. But I had my little, let me put my tail between my legs and boo-hoo-hoo in the corner. Got my second wind. Took the wind out of my sails, but I got my second wind. And we're going to keep plowing ahead. Obviously, they don't like us over here. And listen, I know that some of you guys still get the notifications, but I've gotten a ton of comments, a bunch of emails, people saying, channel shadow banned. They're not getting notifications. It's not showing up in their feed. They've been unsubscribed. A bunch of people said they were unsubscribed. So I know it's happening. I can tell by looking at the analytics. But listen, we're going to keep plowing ahead. You guys are what keeps me going. So we're going to keep plowing ahead. We're not going to shut up. They're going to try to shut us up, obviously. We don't walk in lockstep with their stupid little narrative, but we're not going to shut up. So I got a call to action for you guys. First off, please just make sure you're still subscribed. Secondly, please turn that notification bell on if you enjoy these videos and you want to get notified when we have come out with new videos. And third, if you enjoyed the video, smash that thumbs up button, like that comment section up, share this video out, and that's, I couldn't ask any more of you guys. You guys are the greatest community on the YouTubes, and as I said, you guys keep me going. You guys keep me motivated, inspired, even some days when I don't want to keep going, because, like I said, it's frustrating. It's hard work, but we're going to keep plowing ahead. So, all right, my little rant's over. I apologize for whining like a little baby, but I just had to get that off my chest. And we're going to kick it up a notch. We're going to... I'm going to start adding a few extra videos during the week because I love doing this. I love making these videos. I love laughing. I love engaging with you guys. I love it, in the comments. I love doing this. So we'll get through it. All right. Let me play this next clip. Is about men and women's sports. Roll it.
Trans women should be allowed to compete in women's sports.
I do think that trans women have every right to compete in women's sports. When trans women are on hormones, the hormones break their body down. Having gender-affirming surgery breaks down the body. And so I think we really need to be educated before we jump to a conclusion that trans women are stronger than cis women in sports. Hi, everybody.
I find it interesting that you assume the people who disagree with you are uneducated, and I will speak out against that. I think the research shows that trans women do happen to have a biological advantage against biological women, even though you are taking hormones, and that does start to change your body and level things out. We're talking about primarily people who have transitioned post-puberty, which means they do have male bone density, male wingspan, male hand size, feet size, lung capacity. All of these things are going against against women, biological women, when trans women start to enter their spaces, their sports, and compete against them. And this is really concerning for me.
I think for me, it's not a question of whether or not trans women can compete in sports. It's a question of how can we change the institution of sports in this country to make it equitable and to create more opportunity for cis women, for trans women. And like that's kind of like why I wanted to actually ask you all, like, what has your relationship to sports been?
I don't think you have to have a direct relationship to sports to realize that women are being affected by this issue. And I do reject the idea of equity. There is no way to come about an equality of outcome, which is what equity is saying. There's a reason that women's sports are less funded and less watched than men's sports. It's because men seem to excel athletically and they seem to press the bounds of athleticism way farther than women do.
Guys, we're going to be wrapping it up on this clip now. You definitely got to check out the whole thing. There are a couple other clips that I wanted to put in here. I didn't have time. You got Blossom, the big Mike Singletary looking woman, starts talking about white supremacy and whiteness and all this other garbage. Then the one sitting next to Blossom, what, Roxanne, I think her name is starts talking about a capitalist society, and they start throwing out all the social justice buzzwords. It's just insanity. So this one, Blossom wants statistics on the sports thing. They're still in sports. And Amala says, oh, I don't have the statistics on me. So then Blossom thinks it's a gotcha. But then Amala asks Blossom for statistics, and Blossom doesn't like that. Oh, says, oh, I don't believe in the statistics. They're BS. So you can't win an argument with these people. You can't win. At some point, you just got to realize it's not worth having the conversation because you're not going to change their minds. You're not going to win any arguments or debates because they're just too... Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please, please, please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Till next time. Love you guys. Peace. Roll the film, please.
I just want to ask a question for what you were saying. Can you throw out some statistics?
I don't think you need to have there's an abundance of research. There's even trans activists who agree with exactly what I'm saying. And your hormones can change, right? And even she just spoke to the fact that her bone density did not change in going on hormones and changing these things. And we can see it in sports as we're watching them. Leah Thomas is a great example.
So if you can't throw out the statistics, we're not doing enough of the work. And let's also be clear, there are some cisgender women who produce high levels of testosterone as well. And so we really have to unpack it from all different sides here.
Can you produce statistics about the bone density of biological men and how it changes upon being on hormones and whether or not it levels out to biological women?
I actually cannot, because when I would think of those statistics, I would think it was BS.
Got him! Got him! Oh! Whoa! And you ain't black.